to at least take advantage of the services. And so I hear you, but when I look at the bigger picture, I do have some concerns, and so I'm not sure. So I guess as I'm listening, and from my perspective and from the school district's perspective, it just sounds like there's some things he's not willing to give up. And I mean no disrespect to you, Mrs. Shiver, or to you, young man. It is just difficult for me to kind of see past some of the things that are happening and things that are not happening that are going on. And so I guess as I continue to sit here, I just need to hear some more stuff, something that is just a little bit more convincing to me, that we need to go the route that they're suggesting here at school.
Superintendent Reese, thank you for your comments. I think we have some new information that will put all of this in a more proper perspective in terms of what we need to do to help Devon have more success here at school and even in the community. From 1995 to 1997, there was a study done by the CDC and Kaiser on adverse childhood experiences and their lifelong impact on health and well-being. What we know through our assessments with Devon is that he has experienced adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are potentially traumatic events that occur to people under the age of 18. They can have negative lasting effects on health and well-being. These experiences range from physical, emotional, or sexual abuse to parental divorce or the incarceration of a parent or guardian. The presence of ACEs does not mean that a child will experience poor outcomes. However, children's positive experiences or protective factors can prevent them from experiencing adversity and can protect against many of the negative health and life outcomes even after adversity has occurred. Our student services team include me, Ms. Asia Johnson, our school nurse, Mr. Brown, our school counselor, and Ms. Annie Cosimano, our school social worker, have had collaborative meetings with Ms. Shiver and Devon, as well as with Ms. Taisha Jones, the case manager for homeless families, and Ms. Ashley Washington, the clinical mental health counselor assigned to work with Devon and Ms. Shiver to see what can be done to help Devon. And in Devon's case, we know that he has experienced many of these traumatic events: emotional abuse, physical abuse, parental divorce, parental incarceration, and physical assault against mom from her significant other, alcohol and substance abuse. And as the number of ACEs increases, so does the risk of adverse outcomes. So these outcomes have manifested themselves as low academic performance, chronic absenteeism, and behavioral difficulties. And now we have this opportunity to do something different that can change the academic and behavioral outcomes to Devon. Devon completed the ACEs assessment, and we have found that he has experienced at least 5 adverse experiences: emotional abuse, parental divorce, parental incarceration, physical assault against mom from her significant other, his alcohol and substance abuse. We consider this significant, but something that we can address by creating a trauma-informed and trauma-responsive plan for Devon. So all of the members here today have developed an academic and social support plan that will assist Devon in improving his academic and behavioral performance.
All right, thank you. So Devon, with everything that you've heard thus far, is there anything that you would like to say?
I know that I have not done very well in school, but I have been meeting with Mr. Brown, and he has told me that all of this can be turned around for me. I know that there are a lot of adults who want to help me. They want to see me do well. I want to do better myself, and I will do what I need to do to make things better for myself. I want to thank all of you for wanting to help me.
All right, thank you, Devon. So Dr. Reese, I do understand your concern. However, this is the portion where we are going to interject and let everyone know what services that we are going to put in place. I myself, as principal of Brown Middle School, I do not give up on my students at all. As I drive to work in the morning, I see former students sitting out on the corners. And when I drive home and I see them outside and I talk to them sometimes, they tell me stories about how their friend has been killed or how their friend is locked up, and we're just not going to give up. So whatever we have to do, any way we can for our students, we're going to make sure they're successful. So now we want to start with our special education team. What supports do you all plan on putting in place for Devon?
So we would like to propose starting a BIP, a behavior intervention plan for Devon, so that we can kind of address some of those behaviors specifically, including his attendance. So that would involve a behavior tracker and some kind of incentive that he's able to earn throughout the school week, the month, whatever length of time he would like to choose. And I would like to propose that he is able to earn time with a preferred adult, so that he can, continue to build those relationships. And that's another outlet for him to really talk about like what's going on at home and like discuss the challenges that he's facing, so he doesn't feel quite as isolated within the school.
So yeah, here at Brown Middle School, we don't want to retain anyone. We believe in intense intervention, and when used appropriately, response to intervention, we know when implemented with fidelity, it can lead to a reduction of behavioral concerns. So we are going to implement a 6-week RTI cycle. Since he already has an IEP, we're not as focused on the academics, but more on the behavioral concerns. We also, his annual IEP meeting is next week. It's coming up next week. And so that's when we're going to make these changes to his hours. We also want to increase the time he spends with the counselor working on social and emotional development. So we hope, and we know that he already has a pretty good relationship with his counselor, so we're hoping that as we further develop and deepen this relationship, it'll be a really good support system for Devon.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cole, what supports do you plan on putting in place for Devon?
So like we discussed before, Devon already receives some push-in and some pull-out services, but I'd like to offer as well some after-school tutoring, also allowing him the opportunity to choose his own way of presenting information when we have to do assignments in class, so he's not stuck in the mode of always having to write things. He could possibly record it or orally record it or video record himself saying the answers to the information as well. Also providing him additional break time so that when he's getting a little tense or he's getting a little stressed, he can take some time away, and even kind of creating a signal that he can give to me so that I'll know that he's getting a little stressed out and that he needs that additional time.
All right, thank you. We would like to hear from our student services team.
I want to suggest short-term counseling. Through short-term counseling, I want to work with Devon on trying to help him manage with his emotions in a healthy and proper manner. Also, helping him communicate with his feelings properly through pro-social behavior.
Our school nurse.
So for Devon, I would like to implement an individualized health and wellness plan that will really focus on stress reduction, his diet, and exercise. So I like to be able to take his blood pressure weekly and do a health assessment on him weekly, as well as give him counseling as far as diet choices and healthy meal planning, as well as implement an exercise program specifically for him that would involve him staying after school a couple of times a week to be with a PE teacher, to get some specialized exercise training, and then also partnering with some adolescent rehabs, maybe doing some randomized drug screenings and STI screenings, just so that we're keeping on track, that saying that he's not going to be using drugs or alcohol while he's here, and just really focusing on his health.
Thank you.
Well, I've found a single mother's support and parenting group through Children's Hospital. Ms. Shiver, and hopefully that will be something where you can get support from other parents and can help you develop some new strategies and tools for managing your children's behavior. Also, after hearing some of your concerns and describing some of Tyrell's behavior to me, I wonder if it would be helpful to either have him join some of your sessions, Ms. Washington, or to bring a family therapist on board in addition to the work that you're doing. I think that might be a helpful thing. With regard to Devon and his father, I have been working with a liaison from a correctional facility, and she met with Devon's father, who said that he regrets some of his actions and he would like to see his boys. So we're working on setting up at least one visit in the near future.
As his school counselor, again, I will also be increasing that number of hours that I'll be spending with Devon. Also, I would also like to collaborate with all of his teachers so that if there's any instances where he's showing any type of disruptive behaviors or needs any additional supports around his social emotional aspect, that he can have a pass to come to my office to speak with me. So I'll be making those communications to his teachers so that his teachers are aware of that. And again, I also would like to recommend the 100 Black Men mentoring program for Devon, Mom, if you don't have a problem with that. And Devon also did mention that he likes sports. And so I think that a good idea for him would be football. He did say that was one of the sports that he enjoys. Organized football for him would be a good thing. I know that we are in the month of April, so just kind of following up with you on that. I can get you some resources. I know that, you know, we have some neighborhood recreational teams. I can get you some numbers of some contacts. I do have some coaches that I have some numbers to for some of the local teams, so I can provide you with some of that information too as an additional support, just so he can be around some other peers. And that is something that he did express to me in one of our sessions, that he did like playing football. So kind of getting him involved in peer-related activities would be a good thing of a support for him. So those are some things that I'm kind of recommending on my part as a school counselor.
All right, thank you. Now we would like to hear from our community partners, our homeless case manager.
So for Ms. Shiver, the one thing that we did for her was we did an updated SPDAT, which is an assessment to have her be in the running to get permanent supportive housing. So the one thing that we want for her to have, for her and Devon and her sons, is to make sure that they're permanently housed. And so that's our number one goal, which she is in the running to get that solidified soon. We also are putting in place an individual service plan that addresses all of her ACEs and all of her traumas to really just help her, because as we can see, most of it is generational and has been passed down to Devon because she hasn't been able to get the support she needs. So the individual service plan really addresses, of course, one, her mental health, which Ms. Washington will be implementing more intensive supports for her. And two, just going over some of the supports that are lacking for her. If it's budgetary, finance, mental health, social, emotional, we really want to hit all areas for her. So that's what we're going to be working on, and I'll be working closely with Ms. Washington to see those things through.
Thank you. We would now like to hear from our school counselor. Sorry, our clinical mental health counselor.
So some additional supports, and thank you, Anne, for mentioning that. I think you and I are on the same page. So an additional support that I would be providing would be to bring in a family therapist to work with Ms. Shiver, Devon, and Terrell. And also, I would recommend a group for Terrell to address some of his substance use.
All right, thank you. So I don't know about you, Mom, Devon. I mean, I feel the love in the room. A lot of great things have been stated. I feel good about it already. We haven't even done anything yet, and I feel good about it. All right, so can you share your thoughts about how you feel about what has been stated so far?
Well, I appreciate your smile. I appreciate all of your smiles. It has been good to hear all of this information, a little overwhelming because it is coming from, a lot of different avenues here at the school, but I really do appreciate all of you taking the time to, share with me what can be done here. And there seems like there's a lot that can be done here, from the reading classroom and making sure he gets breaks, making sure that he has the behavior intervention plan in place. Well, it'll be updated next week, and the IEP will be updated next week, and having my homeless case manager support me and making sure that I get everything done. I want to start making sure that he's definitely at school, because all of those absences, obviously he wouldn't get as much from all of these interventions if he's not in school. So you gotta go to school, kiddo. And Miss Ann, thank you so much for suggesting the single moms group. I think that it would be really important for me to participate in something like that, so I know that I have some support, because I do have a lot of things that I'm dealing with that I need to learn how to manage better. So I need to take a look internally and figure out what I can do to better myself to help my sons, because that is a priority for me. And I appreciate just everything. Ms. Johnson, I really appreciate all of that information, and even suggesting routine assessments, checking up on his diet, because financially things have been hard, so I don't always know, when our next meal is going to be or where that's going to come from. So that's another stressor that I have, and I really appreciate you just bringing that to the table as something that you would focus on, him being in school. And Ms. Washington, I really appreciate you offering the group as a suggestion. I think that would be something that would be good for him too, in addition to the football. I think that he does need some external resources to help him learn to socialize in a healthy way that's really going to help him socially and emotionally. And then thank you for sharing all of the information about the adverse childhood experiences. You sharing that information sort of gave me a holistic picture of, what's really making an impact on him in a detrimental way. And I really want to change what I'm doing to help him, because he's the future and my other son is the future too, and I don't want to continue to make the same mistakes. So thank you for that insight.
All right, Devon.
I thank everyone who will be helping me. I am happy that so many adults believe I am worth the time and effort. Like I said before, I am going to do what I have to do to make all of this work. And Mom, I hope that you will choose me, that you will choose to work with me and the school to make it better for me.
All right, thank you, Devon. Thank you, team. So now we're going to shift this conversation. We're going to shift this meeting because there's a much greater problem at hand. If we're going to be bluntly honest, our surrounding community is causing a lot of our students to experience these adverse experiences. So I feel that as a staple in the community, we must do more. We have to do more. So I've invited this evening Frank Little, our public health liaison, and we would like you to just shed some light on what needs to be done in the community.
Well, first of all, I really thank Principal Jackson for the opportunity to be part of this dialogue and hear the things that have been going on to affect and improve the behavior of Devon. I mean, I'm impressed. This is big. Recognizing the effects of ACEs is big, and what you all as a team has done is big. Now, as a public health liaison, I'm responsible for promoting, protecting, improving, and when necessary, restoring the health of all the people, everybody. And this is a big start, and I feel that. I'm convinced that to sustain the improvement in the public health requires a shift in the focus to include prevention of ACEs, resilience building, but also addressing the effects of the adverse conditions at the ground level. That's critical. Those effects, and we see the behavioral effects. We're addressing those. But I believe that there's health things going on, and we can't let that go. I know we have 6 adolescent health clinics throughout the district. What I want to do is change the narrative from an individual focus to the community focus. I think that's key. This is not just to you, Ms. Shiver, and to you, Devon. This is impressive of all of what's happening in the coordination. But I think it needs to be for all the youth and family of the community at large. So I'm committed to help coordinate the access, the resources, the education, as well as coordinating the health assessment and treatment, not just for you, Devon, not just for the family, but for the community at large. Take it to you. So I'd like to be included in these dialogues. I like to know what's needed and set that. It's out there. We need to identify it, and this is the way we do it through all these folks here. And you can count on me. I think it needs to be done. I think it needs to be done now to do this, because if we don't, it'll continue the cyclic generational evolution, and we won't get, so let's do it now. So you got my support from the public health perspective and the coordinating those efforts.
All right, thank you, Mr. Little. So today, we have put a comprehensive student support plan in place for Devon with the help of this amazing team. I appreciate you. Thank you all. Devon, I appreciate you as well for deciding to take the steps necessary to ensure that you're successful, because we can put everything down on paper, but at the end of the day, you have to follow through to ensure you are successful. Mom, thank you. We appreciate you. We're behind you. We'll support you every single day, while Devon's here and even after Devon has left our care. And Dr. Reese, the superintendent, thank you very much for joining us. I hope that you have heard great things, that we have changed your mind about Devon's outcome, and also the way that we are going to actually provide services for him. And also, we'll be in touch, because we do need to talk about financial support. And that's it. Thank you.
That concludes our live case study. I hope that this has been exciting, a learning experience. I hope you have heard some things that just resonated with you, and things that, especially if you've been in school. But I want to thank this wonderful, outstanding group of people who thought, when they heard it, they fell in love with it. Yeah, we can do it. They came in, and that's what they did. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that work.
Okay, we have an observer team of professionals, and so now we want to hear from some of you all about what you thought about the live case study and what happened here. Who would like to go first?
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say what a great job everyone did. And if we have this in the school system, every meeting, every child who are facing ACEs can do better in school. So some of the stuff that I observed as far as the ACEs with Devon, his father incarceration, his mother physical abuse from relationships, the homelessness that him and his mother face and his younger brother. He has some struggles with anger. He has some anger issues, and he was in danger of failing the 8th grade. So with regards to the live case study, I loved how everyone not only incorporated Devon, but his mother as well within the case study. You guys mentioned about some of the resources that she can have, because ultimately he is having to worry about his mother and what she's going to, and how they can afford a stable place to live. So incorporating her in this live case study and including the services that she can have is great. I love how the behavioral support team talk about the behavioral intervention plan, and how the reading specialist included extra time after school as to get Devon at his reading level. So that was a great idea. I also like how the principal of the school said, he mentioned something, how he started asking Devon what happened today. Instead of asking about the problem, he just asked what happened today. So that got him to think like, oh, he cares about me and he wants to see me do better in school. Some of the resources that you guys mentioned while you guys were talking about having him go to adult licensed rehab, since he was having problems with alcohol and drug. I like how the nurse mentioned having assessment done. So getting him to have health assessment and checking his blood pressure and wellness. Like Mom mentioned, he's not getting as much health concern as far as they can afford to go to health clinics. So having that done on a weekly basis is a great idea. Also, of course, increasing the school counseling. That was a nice idea too. He has built a relationship with his school counselor. So having that extra resources every week for him would be a great idea. And not just that, having at the clinical mental health counselor mentioned a family therapist coming in to work with Devon and his mother, because ultimately it's with a family unit, and if his mom is getting the help that she needs and Devon is getting the help that he needs, they can work with the childhood experiences that they all experience. Thank you guys again. I really enjoyed this live case study.
Well, I don't know how to follow that, because Ernestine just showed me everything she learned throughout the entire program. So I appreciate that. What I wanted to address too is that I have been on a lot of treatment teams, IEPs, 504s, and this was perfect. I want to take this to every meeting I go to and show them what it should look like to help the student and his family, his mother. So I really appreciated that. What I wanted to say is, you all did address a lot of issues that are on the observers list. So best practices is one of the things I focused on, so you see I have it back in front. I wrote down a lot of things that all of you all had said that are best practices, including the public health advocate, which I have never been on a team where there was a public health advocate. Everyone else was part of it, and that's what we needed. We need somebody who's going to bring it into the community too. I know the school council does that, and the caseworkers and a social worker and a psychologist, but when it comes to a public health advocate, we need that person too, included on our team. So best practices, I felt like all of you all did that. You addressed it, I felt like perfectly. And I want to see this, just go around the country, because people need to know what this team is supposed to look like. Thank you.
So I think what these guys said, so this was really incredible to watch, and thank you all for letting me participate in it. I think I would just kind of focus on a few things that stood out to me. So one was, I think, the realization that the current plan wasn't working, and an acknowledgement of all of the support folks around the table. The second thing was the importance of leadership. So having the principal here, the superintendent, I think in terms of best practices, that leadership buy-in is really a key one. I think folks mentioned the multidisciplinary support team. would also, the multi-generational approach, so not just mom, but also thinking about dad, that really stood out to me, and the importance of having a plan in place to kind of at all of those levels of the family. The need to look outside the school, so just echoing having the public health advocate at the table really lit me up. So that's great. One point I think that maybe could be a point of improvement was starting from some of Devon's strengths. I think we tend to go to kind of a deficit-based way of looking at things really quickly, especially when there's issues that are coming up in school. You guys did a really nice job of talking about mom's strengths in terms of seeking help and stabilizing her housing. So I think, Mr. School Counselor, you started talking about some of what Devon was into in terms of sports, and it would have been great to like lead with that of like, you know, these are Devon's strengths that we can build off of, right? So that, if I was nitpicking, that would be my only thing. And then just some overall lessons for me. So one, the power of schools to have this impact, to be able to bring this team together and really, like, that's the place that this needs to happen. But having said that, the need to go outside the schools and or bring in those additional resources into the schools. And then the final thing was just the importance of a stable, caring adult in terms of building resilience for Devon or any other kid in this situation. So awesome job. It's really fun, like best part of my day and best part of my week was watching you guys do this. So yeah, thanks a lot.
I also want to thank everyone up here. I know how much you have been working on this. Thank you, Dr. Reese. This was wonderful to see a good model. And thank you to our observers. So everyone here has done a lot of the hard work. And so I will say at this point, we are ready for our next transition to O'Connor Auditorium. We're on the move. So we're moving down the hall to see the student presentations. And I think that is about it for this room. So Dr. Taub, anything else? Okay, so let's move on down the road to O'Connor Auditorium.